Okay, so we are live.
Yay!
Yeah, finally. So there, I'm so sorry first of all for the 5 minutes delay. We were facing bit of the audio problem. So just to check who is present with us in this live webinar right now, can you hear us? Hear both of us, Helen and myself. Can you hear us? Can you please
Yeah,
type in the chat
for
section?
both of us, it's very important because we had a fun, like, trying to set everything up and then it cracked.
Yeah, that's true. And I got panicked, to be honest.
Everything's okay. I even managed to reload the system. I was like, oh God, faster, faster.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so I think people can hear us now. I am getting few of the response. If more people can answer, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well.
So I think we'll continue and people can start commenting in the chat section.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much, guys, for joining us in this webinar. And thank you so much again, Helen, for taking out your time and joining us for this and taking out the session for all the amazing people out here who will be joining us today. So quickly, I'll introduce myself and I'll introduce Designhill, and then we can take this webinar forward. So my name is Rashmi. For everybody who is coming first, like for the first time in this webinar, and I'm from Designhill. And Designhill is basically a global marketplace for graphic designers and business owners to come together and work together. So post this session, you can go to the Designhill website and see the services that we offer. So today we have got Helen with us, who is a full-time freelancer, and if I'm not wrong, she has been freelancing from 8 to 10 years now. Am I right, Helen?
I'm actually freelancing since 2013, something like that. So it's actually 6, yeah. But I'm working and then freelancing and then working and freelancing in between. So I'm kind of so many years in that particular way.
Yeah, so she has been freelancing from 2014, and she will be talking about how to build good client relationship and find more clients as a freelancer. So I'm sure that in these 5 to 6 years, she has worked with a lot of clients, and she would have had a lot of experience in dealing with difficult clients, probably the payment issue and all of that. So she will be taking you through all of these things today. She has prepared some good slides for you guys to help you understand how to have a great freelancing career. So that's a bit about Helen, and I'll let her introduce herself now. And just to add one more point here, we will be taking your questions also in this webinar. So go to the questions tab and ask your questions. And once we will be covering this whole webinar in 4 parts. After every part, we will be taking your questions. So feel free to go to the questions tab and ask your questions there. So Helen, over to you now.
Okay, so I want to introduce myself. I have 7+ years of experience in user interface design, and I've been freelancing since 2013 or 14, since I was like 19 years old, I suppose. And right now on this webinar, I want to bring you the idea on how to start freelancing, what you will face, and also I'm going to bring some difficult client situations and tell you how to deal with those, because I've been through those client situations, and tell you how I get more clients apart from freelance platforms. So let's go. Yeah, I've introduced myself, so yeah. So probably some of you might be here and you're not freelancing yet. So I encourage you to start if you're sick from 9-to-5 job. Maybe you are freelancing already and struggling to get clients. It's a very common thing because people are starting, people go to freelance platforms. There are too many freelancers there and competition is huge, and you might be really struggling to get that first client and good reputation on the freelance platform. So what we're going to discuss today is how to prepare yourself for freelancing, because this is tough. This is not a game. What obstacles you might face and how to deal with them, how I write cover letters and how I write proposals, and I will explain the difference between each of those if that's not clear. As I said, I will bring some difficult life situations and we will discuss those and how to overcome them and how to find more clients. How to prepare to freelancing. So yeah, this one is key. Make sure your portfolio is good. It better be awesome. And what I mean by that is like said in those 4 bullet points. So let's discuss them. Less is more. When you build your portfolio, you need to place not all the projects that you've done in your life. I have done so many projects, but the thing is that I've been graphic designer and now I'm UI UX designer, so I scrap all the graphic design bits and concentrate on one niche. Because people, clients in particular, sometimes they want you to do some graphic design work, even if you are doing only web design. But you need to tell people straight who you are, and they need to be able to identify that straight after they see your portfolio from the first glimpse. Show the work that you want to do. That's the point number 2. So I want to do mobile web applications and how I call them boring dashboards, which is software as a service product design. So I showcase mostly that. And right now I'm building my new portfolio website, so most probably you're not going to see that. But I strongly encourage you to take that path and show only the work that you personally want to do. If you want to do logos, go ahead and show logos, branding, and stuff like that. Don't mix everything. I can't answer questions right now, yeah? Okay. Okay, so problem-solution formula, what does it mean? In user experience design, and I'm pretty sure that in any design field, we need to structure the case in the portfolio, not like the pretty images placed in the line or in the row, and that's it. So every case, every portfolio item has to have a problem, a challenge. What does your client want? What have you delivered and why? Why is the most important thing? And I know maybe I'm saying something really cliche to you, but I would not say that if all the designer portfolios that were ever sent me to my Instagram direct messages were approaching this kind of method. If all of them would do that, I would not mention that. I would know that all designers understand that. And yeah, the last one is be yourself, and hopefully I don't need to explain this one, but if you're showing your personality in portfolio, that's great. But there is an article that says like the worst portfolio ever. So the worst portfolio ever says about how you like your dog, how you like the beer and the pizza. Be yourself doesn't mean that you need to say that. I mean, don't say I love the beer, I like the pizza. Recruiters and clients do not care about that. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, you need to pick a platform on which you're gonna start freelancing once you have the portfolio. So you can start on Designhill, or you can start on Fiverr, on Upwork. It really depends on. You can start on all 3, but I strongly recommend you to start from one, because reputation is something that you will must build on every single platform, and it's pretty hard. So just take it slowly, look at the websites, think what suits you best, and just, yeah, try it one by one. Yeah, this one is really key. Make sure you saved at least 3 months worth of cash. And I'm gonna explain why in a second. People are asking questions here. Can we a little bit?
I think that you guys who are asking questions, please put your questions in the questions tab. And once we are over with this part of the webinar, we will definitely be answering the question. So in the meantime, they can ask question, but please do put it in the question tab. And after 10 minutes or so, we'll take the questions.
Okay, so make sure you saved at least 3 months of cash. And I've been into this situation when I had to quit the job and I went to freelancing platform. I spent 1.5 months trying to get a client, I mean the first client. So you'll probably need to eat something during those first, the period when you're looking for a client. And you probably need to pay some bills like rent, utilities and stuff like that. So if I needed like 1.5 months, I have friends who needed like 2.5 months to land their first client, and then they did the job. Even though they got the prepayment, they did the job and got all the funds in another 2 or 3 weeks. So you need to be prepared that you need to go through that period where times can be tough enough. So just make sure you take care of that. So what's going to happen on freelancers? You're probably going to be earning less at the start that you were earning on your full-time job, and this is depressing sometimes. But the thing is that you should never give up, and you will be your own accountant and salesman and designer and copywriter. You will be doing a lot of stuff yourself, and this is pretty frustrating. And sometimes you will work with clients from different countries, and you will have huge time difference. But the thing is that they will be expecting you to be available for them when they want, because they pay. And this is frustrating as well. And you will talk a lot, and those hours are not going to be paid. So that's why I told about 3 months worth of cash before. And you will be working 7 days a week for sure. Well, I did. Maybe you will not. But once everything is over and you have flow of clients, you have booked your time, you'll be like the happiest person ever, because transitioning to freelance full-time was the best decision I personally ever made, because now you have a lot of projects that you do at the same time, and your portfolio is growing, everything is like boiling around you. Okay, I think we have a person who can't hear the conference at all. How can we help this person? It's not in the tab, it's in the chat.
So one who is not able to hear us, I have shared a document above. That's a quick document for troubleshooting any video or audio problem. So make sure you're using Chrome browser for this, and you can go through that article very quickly. It is a very short article. Just make sure that things are right from your end.
Okay, so we're going to go through 2 more subjects, cover letter and proposal, and then we will go to the questions. So the cover letter is something that you will be expected to write every single time you apply to a job. And right now I'm sitting in the office of my friends, and I'm helping them to promote themselves on freelancing platform. And those tips I've gathered based on my experience on freelancing platforms, and how I see people are writing cover letters, which sometimes is not the right thing to do. Like, when you know the lead's name, when the client actually says, okay, I want you to do the logo for me, and he says something, warmest regards, Michael, use this name. Don't refer to client, hello, hi, dear client, ma'am, sir, whatever. If you know his name, refer to it. This is important, and he at least understands that you actually read the full spec. If you can gather info on the company, and he had already left the link it's somewhere in the description of the work he wants to get done, make sure you do a little research and somehow show in the cover letter that you have been to the website, you've done the little research, you know what they're doing, and Then you should get their attention by expressing how excited you are about the project. And you can obviously do that by going through their website and reading the full spec. This is very important. If people put some thought into writing a great long job post, they probably are really looking for a freelancer, so they will expect you to read it in full. And by the way, this is my personal observation. I work through Upwork, and sometimes when you have a job post, and especially when it's pretty long, what clients do, they put like little passwords in between the text. So it could be like a long read text, and then in little quote marks, they will say, when you apply, please write the word, let's say, congratulations as the first word of your application, so that we know that you actually have read this post. Why they do that? This is a little trick to check, have you actually read the job description? And why they do that is that there are a lot of spammy applications that people get every single day. So they hate it, and they want people to be like attentive and read the stuff that they post. So this is the little trick that they use. Make sure you read everything, because sometimes they might hide it in between the lines.
Yeah, important point you shared, Helen. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know about that. I mean, I faced it so many times, and by the way, I saw this thing mostly with American clients, and all of us know that American clients, Canadian clients, Australian clients are the more high-paying clients. So yeah, sometimes you think like, why would you do that? And then when I go to the client side, and I am right now on the client side, so I kind of hire freelancers through the platform as well. I see so many spammy applications coming in that start from dear clients, even though at the end I always say warmest regards, Helen, and nobody refers to my name. This is actually really offensive. That's why they do it. They want to feel that you are the person, not a robot. You know, I can write a typical cover letter with links to my portfolio and just copy and paste it constantly, but it shows me as an extremely unprofessional person. So yeah.
And I think being professional in freelancing industry is something which should be the utmost, the utmost priority for everybody out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I went a little bit aside. So after you've done all that, some people will not expect you to say that why you are a good fit for this particular project. Say it anyway. Say it anyway. I mean, if you think that you are actually a good fit, you've done similar project, or the idea of the project that they have actually is in your heart, like let's say they're trying to save the nature, they're trying to help homeless people, dogs, whatever, say it. I got 5 clients just by saying how cool the idea of their startup was, and I really researched like for 5 minutes over the internet, and I said, oh, I saw this competitor of yours and I think I can do better than them. So show your personality and show that you're passionate about that. And the most important thing, finish your cover letter by asking a question. This is a trick marketeers do all the time, but the only question that we probably can ask people is, okay, so when can we jump on a call to discuss our collaboration and the brief and stuff like that? And I always do that. So always try to track the client on a call, because on a call you will see him face to face and you will be able to charm him. I know it sounds a little cheesy maybe, but if your personality is bright, even if your skill set or the portfolio cases amount is not enough, sometimes people just want to work with great people, so yeah, the call is really important. So we're gonna move to the proposal bit. So if cover letter was the thing that you write when you apply to a job post, and it's usually just text where you can insert links, the proposal is something way bigger and more professional. And I have not made any assessments to understand how many people actually do the proposals for themselves. But from my very close circle, I don't know if people are doing that. Proposal is the presentation. Proposal is the presentation of yourself. And here are like 6 points that I strongly recommend you to include, because this is what I do and it works. I start my proposal with testimonials. So if you already have feedback from real clients, I put it first. When they say that you're a great designer and how you solved the problem, how you helped them, this is the most important for any other client. Because when you buy a phone and you don't know anything about the brand, what will you do? You will look at characteristics, but even though you like characteristics, you're not going to buy it unless you find some good review on that device, right? So I'm not saying that you should consider yourself as being a device, but client is choosing you among hundreds, tens of others. So testimonials really matter. Then I describe the services that I do. Services, and by the way, you need to pick the niche. Remember, I said that on the start. So say exactly what you are doing. So if I'm not doing banners, I'm not going to include that in the services, right? So tell about yourself. And yeah, the CV bit, I include my CV, but this is optional. I don't know, nobody actually said anything to me in regards to my CV that they have looked through it. I just do it for more bigger clients, because sometimes people want to know what you were working with before. And yeah, just in case, if you have a good CV and you worked at Facebook, I think you should mention that in the proposal. Yeah. So okay, process, deliverables, and payment. That's really important. Okay. So let's take myself as an example. I have two types of services. This is UI UX design and branding. So the services that I do are divided into two big parts, the UI UX design and branding. So what I do is I describe the process for each one of them, because they are different. Describe your process, like step by step. What do you do to achieve the final improvement? And the more detailed you go, the better, I think. I have 10 steps for UI UX work, and I have same amount of steps for the branding work. Then after you describe your method of work, you can put the price on the packages if you do the packages, or you can omit the price. I omit the price because I do what is called value-based pricing. So I can't say for sure that this website, the web design for any website, is going to cost X amount of dollars. And you probably understand why. The amount of work is different, so the price is different. That's not even we're not even discussing it right now. Make sure you state deliverables of every single service. This is very important. I've been through a lot of situations when clients who want to have web design, they want to have a PSD source file, and Photoshop is not the tool that I use to design websites. So I had to do that anyway. I was younger and I was not so experienced, and I made all those mistakes. So make sure you state the formats, you say what software you use, how you handle designs to development if you're in the web design and UI UX sphere. Describe everything as much detailed. These details might sound stupid to you, but they will eliminate so many conflicts that you might have faced if you just do that. And I develop my proposal every other week. Every other week, there is another interesting client situation, after which I develop my proposal and change it again. And the most important is payment policy. So yeah, I'm saying every time on my Instagram blog, never work without prepayment. This is like, this is even a crime in regards to yourself, because most of the time, if people don't want to pay prepayment, they don't want to pay at all. So don't go that way. State the payment policy. So if I do 50-50, let's say, you can do 50-30, 20, or 30-20, 50, whatever, but you should explain that. And make sure you say that prepayment is non-refundable. So I had this client once, and he offered what is called UX audit. So it's when you review the existing application, find the user experience, the issues, and you like suggest a plan on how to fix them. He paid the prepayment and disappeared. And in some time he appeared again and said, "Oh, I don't need this job anymore." And thanks God he understood that prepayments are non-refundable. But if he would be the one that would not understand it, I would have so much like pain in my life, because if he were to put me 1 star on my rating, that would actually ruin the score of my profile on freelancing platform. So yeah, the score is really important, so make sure you take care of that as well. Okay, the section is over, so we can answer some of the questions, I suppose.
Yeah, we have received a lot of questions in the questions tab. So Helen, just one question that I would like to ask you, and I think this question is going to help a lot of people out here who are joining us, who are listening to us right now. So you talked about portfolio, right? Like building a good portfolio. So what differentiates a good portfolio from a bad portfolio?
Okay, so as I said before, bad portfolio, let's talk about bad portfolio, okay? So bad portfolio focuses on you, not on your work. So bad portfolio is not user-centered. You're making portfolio for 2 people, client and recruiter. They don't have much time to pick you among all the hundreds of other people. So as I said before, nobody cares about your years of experience. Nobody cares about how you like the dogs and cats and beer and Fridays and skiing. What they need to know is what you're able to do, and most probably they want to see it right away. So something like, I am UI UX designer, logo designer, blah, blah, and I solve complicated problems, solve blah, 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 with these methods. That's the statement that will immediately show them who you are and what you can do. Then you can put services in a nutshell, but they need to see the work right away, like, bam, here is the work that I've done. And I recently read an article where a woman, I'm not sure who she was, probably a recruiter, she said that designers who divide their portfolio by clients not really making user-oriented portfolios, because when a recruiter or client comes to your portfolio, he's probably he wants to build a mobile app or a web app or a website. So for him to find what he wants to find is dividing your portfolio into sections like web design, mobile apps design, branding. So he goes on your portfolio, he sees the statement of who you are, and now he's, oh, web design, this is what I need, click. So he clicked on the website and clicked on the link. This is 2 steps. What if you were to divide your portfolio by clients? He would like, oh, what is this company? I don't really know that, because this is actually a German company and I'm American. It doesn't say anything to them. So yeah, that was the example of that portfolio. I hope I managed to answer the question. I mean,
Yes.
as I said, the good portfolio is when you have the cases and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And you really answered the question very well. And I think in the questions tab, I'm looking at one of the question which Vaibhav Singh is asking, which is the last question in the list. He might have asked the first question, so it has gone down. So he's asking that do portfolio should only contain live projects or even the creative demos?
Yeah, okay, so no, here you can put concepts in your portfolios for sure. And I have portfolio review of one person, and he had 3 concepts and 1 live project. But the thing is that when you say it's a concept, do not shout about it at the very top. Your task is to say what was the challenge and how you came to the solution, and then show the solution. This is a good example of the case study. Challenge, how you came to solution, your process, and then the solution. But this guy that I'm referring to, he actually said, this project is from Adobe XD contest. And I'm like, okay, I don't remember his name, but I said, okay, the case is great. Why would you mention to the person who will potentially be impressed by this and wants to hire you that this is not a live project? Mention it at the bottom. I mean, because you have to mention it. But just don't throw this at the very top. So yeah, you can post concepts for sure, and I did that also. It's not a big deal, but just make sure you say it's a concept, but not say it at the top. Okay, can I pick some questions?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. And guys, one more thing I would like to add here. There
Okay.
are a lot of questions, and we will have limited time, so we might not be able to answer a lot of questions within this time frame. So you can upvote the questions which you like and which are relevant for you also. So you have you have the option to upvote them, so we can answer the most appropriate question.
Um, right. So I'm reading the questions. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
What makes every designer strong? Its portfolio or his life project reviews? Well, there are lots of things that make designers strong, starting from skills into personal skills, which is very important. And reviews. Reviews are good on freelancing platforms. When you will be working with people who are not part of freelancing platforms, they will be asking for the reviews maybe on LinkedIn, so you can ask for those. But what is strong in portfolio is that the case studies, when you show the solution, the challenge, the process, how you made the solution, and then the solution. What about beginners? What should beginners portfolio have if you don't have any projects to show? All right, this one is a very commonly asked question. So beginners and what they should do. Okay, so if you are a beginner and you have 0 portfolio projects, what you do is you practice. First of all, even if you will create the case, most probably you don't have experience enough to make it look stunning, right? So what I did when I was starting is I went to Behance. I was finding some really cool case study of something that I thought that I might do as well. Let's say it's a website for clothes, because I'm a girl and I would like to do something like that. I took that design and then I took another 7 or 10 websites similar to that, like clothing websites, and I was thinking how I can make the best among them. So I analyzed them. I picked what I thought was bad in them, so not so comfortable to use, like the buttons, stuff like that. And then I gathered this in one case study, and I redesigned the whole website and applied some new stuff to it. So eventually, it's like a concept, but you already have solved some problem. Yeah, it's a hard job, by the way. So it's not actually copying the design of other person just to learn how to use the software. It's actually finding inspiration, finding 10 inspirational stuff, and then making your own. Right. Am I talking too much?
No, not at all, not at all. You are completely sort of giving these really nice insights, which I think are very much valuable for all the designers out here and all the
Okay,
freelancers.
so we get slides after this. Yes, I will put the link in the action bar, like before we finish.
There's this to suggest you should take it up. It's asked by Jade. It's the third question from the top.
Third question from the
From the top,
top.
it has got 3 upvotes.
So
He's asking that is there a particular portfolio platform you prefer for a professional presentation?
okay, well, I don't like Behance, but this is only my personal thing. What I picked for myself is Dribble, but Dribble does not allow you to put case studies, and I struggled with it for months. So I decided that rather than draw the traffic to somebody else's website, I decided to buy domain hosting, and I set up the WordPress. And right now, when I have time in between my work, I put the case studies up and to have my own website. And to cut you all this path of doing it on Behance and Dribble, I would really recommend you to go for your own website if you can, if you're able to devote the time and read about how to set up domain hosting, buy the theme, use the WordPress, blah, 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 blah. So if you have all this time, there is nothing better, because once you do that, you drive everyone to your website where you can, let's say, leave the contact form and people will like submit their requests there. This is your property and you don't own anything. You don't own Instagram, Behance, Dribble. Once they're gone, let's say, what are you going to do? Yeah. So that's the way I would recommend to go.
I got a question over here which is asked by Ravi, and I think the question that he's asking is very much sort of asked by a lot of people and very much important for everybody out here. So let me read it out loud. So he's asking that before starting any projects with clients, which details should they ask for beforehand from the clients?
Okay, we need to pick an example. There are different projects. Let's say if it's, let's pick as example, let's pick mobile application, for example. So any client knows what is their business about or their idea about, and you should know too. They most probably know who they're targeting with their product or are hoping to target with their product. And you should know as well and ask for it. You should know about the competitors, and competitors could be direct or indirect, but there are competitors. And clients who say that they don't have any competitors, you should beware. Like, I strongly do not recommend to work with them, because then you will face a lot of stuff. People who think that they don't have any competition don't know what they're doing, basically. They have not analyzed the market. So competitors, target audience, and what the business is about. And then it comes to some more typical questions like, if a person wants to build application, on which platform? Is that Android? Is that iOS? Is that both? What's the timeline for the project? What's the budget? Although it's a very tricky question and most clients will never answer it, but you should ask anyway. What if they do answer? Most clients will ask you in regards to what is the budget? How much do you want for it? There are a lot of other questions like what's your philosophy and what kind of, let's say, what kind of functionality you want to be in place in that application. But most probably after asking the first couple of questions, you will come up with a lot of other additional questions, which further they will be placed into the document that's called specification. So some clients might have the specification already, and once you read that specification, you will come up with 10 additional questions. So it's like, it's a long-term, long communication process. Yeah, that was in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I think you really explained it really nicely with example. So I think we will have more of a presentation to cover, right? Shall we take that up?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so be careful. Now we're going to talk about like cliche situations that most of the people are facing with their clients or potential clients, and how you should deal with them according to how I dealt with them. So what if they say, hello, I need a website design in 5 days and I have $100 to make it. And they're like, oh, I love your portfolio, but the thing is that my budget is tight and I need that design, but you're such a nice person. By the way, they don't know you. But that most probably means this. He likes your portfolio, and because they all think that you need a job, like you're constantly looking for another opportunity, he can make you work for nothing. And the amount of clients on any freelancing platforms like this is like, there is a good amount of clients like that. People want professionals doing things for them for cheap. And although we all know it's very impolite and probably even offensive, you should take it easy, like just don't deal with them. I mean, don't even go for it. Because remember that you have reviews on every freelancing platforms, and if this guy will not like it, and he will probably not like it, I can guarantee like 90% that he is not going to like anything. He will put you a bad review, and that's going to ruin your score. Right. The second situation is, we don't need a call, let's discuss over email, which probably means this. He will not have time for you, and probably he will not have time for your questions, even if you start working with him, and he will never be satisfied. People who are scared to show their face or their voice on Skype or any other tool for communication are weirdos. They are weird. I have been to a first introductory call with all my clients, even with those who I never spoken ever since. And I have a client who I worked with for more than 7 months, right? And we had initial call, but now we're speaking only via email because he's a busy guy, he's a CEO. But that first call you just must have, and if person doesn't want to do that, I strongly recommend you not to like challenge the fate and try to deal with those kind of people. That's all I'm trying to do here, by the way, is to save you from my mistakes, because I did that and that was not really funny, because those people are never satisfied. They don't have time to answer you. They don't have time to for your follow-ups, and you can follow up for months and months. And because you're bind with that score on freelancing platforms, you will not be able to cancel the contract, right? So you will get a bad review. So you're hooked, and he can do anything. So just don't deal with those kind of people. So I want to work with you long term. Oh, this one is my favorite. I want to work with you long term, and I will bring you a lot of work in future. So can I have a discount? And hopefully this guy will never see this video, but I had a client like that really recently, and this thing came over to this presentation because I had it like 3 months ago. And the client was great. The guy is awesome, nice communication, super prompt response. Everything is great. And I did a piece of work for them, and it's a mobile application, and they paid really well. And now he wants something else done. And he said, okay, we've been working for a while, and I want you to be our, like, say, remote in-house designer for this project, and we're gonna use you for a long time. Can I have 30% discount? And I'm like, well, and I thought, okay, they paid good. Maybe I should go for it. And I went for it. And I regret it, because most probably it means I need to do this 30% cheaper, and I will tell anything to get a discount. And for future work, nobody can predict how business will change in 2 weeks. And this is exactly what happened. So I followed him up after I did that discounted work. I followed him up in a month. And I said, well, hello, how are you? Hope the project is fine. We were talking about long-term relationship and stuff like that, so I'm kind of expecting more work. And the response I got was like, well, we're still developing it. We don't need to design at this moment in time. We will contact you when we have some work. It was 3 months ago, guys. So work was finished. I sent it. In a month I followed up, and then 3 months have passed. So I'm waiting for this work to come for another 4 months. Honestly, it was not worth giving 30% discount. And bear in mind, 30% is a real, it's a big discount. 10% is a big enough discount, but 30, it's like discount for a friend. Do not get yourself in that trap, please. Yeah, and some other interesting situations. So be careful if the client is not fluent or at least intermediate English speaker, or your native language speaker, because you will not understand what they want. They will say A, you will understand B, produce B, they wanted A, they will be not satisfied, they put you better. That's the chain. So if a person doesn't know English or your native language very well, that's a no. Just don't even try. I had a project I did for a French guy. He was an awesome guy, but at the first call, we did not discuss that the website that I'm going to design will be in French. And I have no idea what the French is all about. So, and he did not translate it. So he was busy, and because I wanted to get the job done, I translated it myself using Google Translate. So do not make my mistakes. Don't do that. Okay, so if a client asks you a ton of questions on how your decision making is made, beware. So if I want to clean my teeth and I go to the dentist, I don't ask him why he uses this tool or this brush, whatever, and brushes my teeth like that. So you are a professional, and client has to treat you as a professional. I had a lead came to me from Instagram, and she was asking me like, can you please explain to me how would you prove your proficiency in picking the color for the buttons? And I'm like, delete the chat. So that was it. I was not even speaking to her anymore. No. And you will probably get the situation. If client is unresponsive before the work starts, and this is probably when, like, he has to be responsive. He wants the work done. I mean, if he is unresponsive right now, he will be even unresponsive later. So don't work with those kind of people. Test task. Okay, so this one, I never got into this trap, but I know people who got into this trap. I know a girl who was made to make a test task of, I think it was a landing page, and the test task actually included high fidelity design and the actual source file. And I'm like, are you stupid? Why the hell did you do that for nothing? So if people are asking you something like that, never say yes. they might say you that they need this kind of test because they're a big company and they want to employ you permanently. They want to make sure that the layout that you've done and the source file is constructed and the folders and the layers are named. I don't want to swear right now, but please shut up, because they will never employ you. And I come from a country which is called Ukraine, and a lot of people just post jobs and ask for test tasks done by other people just to get the designs and resell it to their clients. So yeah, that's probably news for you, but a lot of people are mean and they are not worth your attention. If client needs a breakdown of every single deliverable from your work, let's say you're doing the web design, obviously web design is not constructed just from throwing the desktop version of it and just wait. So there are some steps that you take in order to come up with design. If client asks to put a price tag in front of every single step, well, you can do that, but the thing is that you want to charge for your work. You don't want to charge for pieces of your work. So if you think that web landing page from your craft is going to cost, let's say, $500 for a landing page in desktop and mobile version, you want to get this kind of money, right? So you will break it down, however, in order to come back to this $500. That's insanely easy to explain. So every time client says something like that, I say to him, okay, I want for this job this, and if you want me to break down the price, I will come back to this anyway. So why would you want to do it? Why do you want me to do that? And they say, really, yeah, we didn't think about that. Yeah, probably you're right, we don't need that. So if they say, oh yeah, you're right, we don't need that, you can go forward. If they still insist on that, just say that you have other clients and other things to do, go out with your dog or boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. So when the client says nothing to timeline, and this is very common thing, they don't know how much time it will take. You should say it, you should approve it, and you make sure you have it in writing. You have it in writing, you have a screenshot of it, whatever. Anything can do, but the thing is that when you approve certain milestones, clients can think that the call was on Monday, but it actually was on Wednesday, and you are going to deliver the stuff on next Monday, and they forgot about it, and then they think that you missed the deadline. If you have it in writing, you will always be covered. And they can't answer to brief questions. Well, I don't think I need to explain that. So if he doesn't want to answer the questions that you ask him, why would you want to even deal with that person, right? He's not interested to working with any freelancer or any professional. He ignores your suggestion to have a call, and this was one of those previous examples. He doesn't tell about his expectations, and this comes to a brief. He doesn't accept time difference and wants a call at 3 a.m. your time. You're a person, you need to sleep, you need to eat. And the latest I can have a call with a client is 10 p.m. my time, 10:30 p.m. if we have huge time difference. But really, people 3 a.m., 2 a.m., like people who are sending Calendly and say pick up from those kind of times, and it only is when you sleep, just don't even start. I mean, just respect yourself, right? And the opposite to ignoring is when they turn your Skype or WhatsApp to ping, 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 even before you actually agree to start the work. Don't start the work. I mean, do not even start the work. And by the way, try not to give anyone your private telephone number. This is important because you never know who is the person and how he can use this information against you. And security of freelancing is sorry for this one minute of security. Security of freelancing is extremely important subject. I covered it in my Instagram blog. You can check it out. But yeah, don't share your phone number. Like Skype and email is pretty much enough. Right. I think we have kind of missed our timeline, right? I'm speaking too much.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And I think we are sort of it's I think we're about to complete an hour now. But I think do you have how many more slides would you have, Helen? If you can just tell me more.
Sorry, how many more slides?
Yeah.
Actually 10.
Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's take the questions because I think a lot of people have
Okay, then you tell me what to answer.
Yeah. The question, I have shortlisted few questions here. One question asked by Jade again, which has got 3 upvotes. He is asking that how to handle difficult clients who seem to be aggressive, in their approach, and basically how to deal with them and how to approach them, the aggressive clients.
How to approach aggressive clients when? At the start, don't even approach them.
At the start, yeah.
No, don't even go there. If the person is not shining bright like a diamond, and not heartwarming, and like not wishing to work with you, and he's aggressive, and he says that my ex-designer was shit, excuse my French, you don't want this person in your life. Don't even try. Why would you even want to try? No, there is no money in this world that is worth dealing with assholes. Sorry, that you just don't do that. But if the client has become aggressive during the work with you, unfortunately, you are the tool, you are the pro to deal with that. You have to be very diplomatic. Here you have your reputation on freelancing platform, which is so important. And here you have your self-esteem. And all my advice before were concentrated for you not to get into the situation when you have aggressive clients. So just don't risk that reputation, right? But if you already have risked it and you messed up and you have that kind of client, unfortunately, you will be same as me, trying to balance, trying to be diplomatic. Never say aggressive things to them. Never answer aggressively to their emails. Remember that all the communication that you hold, you must be very friendly, because like the reputation is on here and it's too important. Just, yeah.
Okay, I hope Jade, Helen has answered your question. So taking the next question here. Okay, so somebody is asking that although you have already mentioned about email communication and calls, this person wants to know whether you use WhatsApp as well for dealing with clients or chatting with clients.
No, as I said before, and I'm not actually sure that there is a way to use WhatsApp without giving your phone number. I have my phone number, which is attached to my banking account. So the last thing I want to do is to give somebody my phone number. So phone number is something which is very secure. Tax system, bank system, my private entrepreneur scheme account, all depend on my phone. So why would I want to give that to anyone? First of all, in my country, when they get your phone, you start receiving stupid messages like, oh, go to this restaurant, or here's the new taxi company. So you never know who you're dealing with. Why do you want to give your number? Like, I don't think that you want that. Don't use WhatsApp. It's not that secure anyway. I mean, I can talk for ages, and this is not for this webinar, but WhatsApp is actually not so encrypted as you guys might think. Yeah, but this is not for this webinar.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, just be professional and use emails and a Skype or any other platform than WhatsApp, right? Okay, so I think Helen, we can continue with the presentation. Let's finish it up now.
Right. So if a client is asking for too many iterations, what you should have done before is remember the proposal bit. You describe the process. So when client agrees to your proposal, he will not want too many iterations. You have 3 iterations to make a logo. Additional iterations, you price additional. You have to state it in that proposal. If you already got into this situation, unfortunately, you will have to deal with that, and you will have to be diplomatic. I'm not a god to advise here, but you will have to be diplomatic. When you have issues with prepayment, just don't work with the person. Simple as that. That's going to be the fastest slide. No prepayment, no work. Let's move on. If you have issues with down payment, when the work is completed and you have already approved it, never send source files until you get the final installment. Or if you have option like on Upwork, I can submit everything to get the money, then I do that. So you have to secure yourself. I've been in a situation when I worked with the people for a couple of months, again, nicely paying clients, nothing to say. I mean, and then I realized I don't want to go for it anymore, but they owe me for 11 days of my work. And they said like, okay, we will pay you, but you prepare the source file, I send it to us. I send the source file, I never got my money, never. And some more. This one are real examples from the people who follow me on Instagram, and I asked their permission to show it here. So the first guy had like, this is the guy that he knows, and he asked him to do some work, and okay, they divided the money into 3 installments for the logo and for the other stuff, but the thing is that once the guy got the source files of the logo, he decided to go for cheaper designer and do all this other stuff with him. And how to avoid this situation? So this all comes to never put pricing tags on every single deliverable, and in the proposal mention that source files are the property of the client for sure, right? But after all agreed scope of work was completed and paid in full, and this is really important, and I've been there in that situation when people want to use my skill set to develop A, and they understand that all the other work that follows is actually dependent on this thing, and anybody can take this layout and resize it to tablet, mobile, whatever. So they can do it twice as cheaper, and they demand the source file, and thanks God I didn't have a contract with them, so I didn't send the source files. But you should have a really strong statement in your proposal that will that will save you from this situation. And this is exactly what I suggested to this guy. And another is insane. I've never been in this situation, but just read it. So he was creating a branded project for a client, and the client approved, but then he said, okay, can you do something lower quality because we don't want to pay the amount that we have agreed on. I honestly, if something like that would happen to me, I would be shocked. And what I said to this person is that you should have stood your ground and said that you approved the work. I have this approved word in the email from you. So you approve, you pay. And this is where even I would go against that reputation and your self-esteem, and I would say, okay, scrap the reputation right now. I'm not doing shit just because they want to pay less. I mean, this is insane. Okay, so how do I get more clients apart from like freelancing platforms, right? Referrals. Referrals are very important stuff. When you have a great client and you're like, he's your baby, you take care of him, and you're like working for a month or so, and you already are friends with him, you can ask him, okay, Mike, can you please shout out with your friends? I have some capacity and I can take something else on. Maybe some of your friends or colleagues would give me some job. They will gladly do that. We all are shy sometimes. Oh, that's the person I don't really personally know. Just scrap it. Do it. I mean, I did it. I had no work and I was pretty lazy to find somebody new. And I was like, okay, I will just shout out to all my clients. And actually 3 out of 5 said, yeah, we have more work to do. When can you actually start? Because we were thinking that you're so busy and you will not have the capacity. So yeah, follow-ups matter a lot. Social media shout out. So this is a big subject, let's say. You should do the social media thing. I mean, this is not the topic of the presentation we're doing right now, but the social media is important. You need to work with people there. Especially important is LinkedIn for these things. So you can write some posts about how you helped this client achieve this goal or this amount of users to achieve their goals, and use the hashtags, and it's like a magic. LinkedIn has no tough algorithms like Instagram or Facebook, and they just put your post under the hashtag and people are reading it and they're adding you, connecting to you. So once you have some audience on LinkedIn, mostly, by the way, they're going to be recruiters, because recruiters are everywhere. You can shout out there and say, okay, I have capacity right now. Check your connections in terms of recruiters and try to DM them with requests. Maybe they have some work. I did it once. I got one project like that. I can't say it was that much efficient because I didn't do it for, I don't know, 5 to 6 months, I guess. And since then, my LinkedIn audience has grown. But it's a working method. You should definitely try if it works for you. Cold emails. This is something that is, I can't say that it's really promising. I mean, what you can do is, especially when you want to work on site, find local companies that you want to work for and apply yourself. Don't wait for them to have the position. But if you want to freelance, apply to those companies and say, I can do this. I've seen that you are doing this project. I found a UX issue in that, or I found some disadvantage in that. I found some branding problem in that thing. Mention the problem, and well, don't mention the problem, sorry. Mention that you found the problem and suggest somebody to talk to you so you could explain the problem. So you drag them on the call and you convert them into the warm leads and interested people, and they probably will work with you if they really think that the thing that you have found is actually an issue. And people thank for that, and they, you know, it's a plus for you anyway. And also you can go and find not local companies, like international companies, and do exactly the same. The disadvantage of this method is that it's extremely time consuming. So if you have time, you can do that. Personally, I've done it a couple of times. I've received thank you messages, and only one guy actually hired me. But the thing is that it took so much time, and I think that for now, probably I can't say it was worth for me. But I have an illustrator friend, and she's totally different profession. She's an illustrator. She found the website. She said that they have taken bad illustrations and she could do them better. She approached them. She said, okay, I can do the same kind of style you want because this is your style, but your illustrations are from Shutterstock and here you are, here is my illustrations. I can do this for this amount of money. They hired her and she did it like 10 times, and she's really cool illustrator. They always hire her. Yeah. So that's it. Let's go to the question.
Wow, I think we have already completed, and we are already 15 minutes, ahead of this. But I think let's take the last question because I would like to respect your time as well at the same time. So let's take the last question and then we'll wrap it up. So I have this question. Let me just, I have, so this question has received three upvotes, and it says that, okay, this is again the question from Jade, and it is saying that when I may deem to be aesthetically pleasing may not have the same effect on a person on the other side of the table. Okay, I did not understand the
I
question, to
don't
be
really
honest.
get what it means. Okay, what I may deem to be aesthetically pleasing may not have the same effect on the person on the other side. Okay, so you say that what you think is aesthetically pleasing may not be aesthetically pleasing for the other person on the other side. Is that correct? What can we ask him or her to reply to my question? Is that correct? Did I understood that correctly?
I think, okay. So we are not getting any reply from him right now. So I think let's take the next question because we have already answered a lot of questions from Jade. So Jade, let us answer some other questions as well. So Shreya is asking us, is Shutterstock a good platform to share work?
If you are illustrator, this is an awesome thing. I mean, if you're gonna refer to that illustrator friend that I have, she has account with Shutterstock and she posts there and she constantly earns some side income from that there. It's not for me. I can't generate creative images just for the sake of being creative and produce images because I'm like more a problem solution kind of person. But if you are a creative person and you're doing pattern design, illustrations and stuff like that, something that could be used in more bigger designs like websites and stuff like that, go for it. It's definitely worth trying.
Great, great.
Oh, I love this question. Hold on. If you're struggling to generate an income, do you believe it's okay to join a crowdfunding websites? There are designers out there who vehemently refuse to use platforms like Designhill because they say a good designer must get paid a decent amount for his professional work. I'm not going to say, guys, how much I earn, but I think that's pretty decent. And I earn it using freelancing platforms. In terms of crowdfunding websites, crowdfunding is crowdsourcing. I thought it means crowdfunding. Well, I don't know how to use crowdsourcing websites to for designers, let's say, but we should how do you know that some designers say that freelancing platforms doesn't work for them and they're crap? You know why? Because they haven't tried, or they have tried, but they have not invested a lot of time and effort to get the first client. And I have so many people saying this to me on Instagram, like, I've been there for 2 months, no client, and I'm like, okay, send me your link. He sends me the link, and it says, I have 5 years of experience in graphic design. And then I see like 3 logos in the portfolio, and I'm like, how are you going to attract somebody with this? And you've been applying for 2 months? I mean, who am I? I'm writing a lot of stuff and trying to help people, so like, here's the post, please read it and change the portfolio. So most probably they didn't even try. And by the way, there are different freelancing platforms. You can't claim that every single one of them will not work for you unless you try. Yeah. How to set my hourly rate. If I'm gonna start answering how to set your hourly rate, we're gonna be here until evening. But in a nutshell, I would not strongly recommend you to have hourly rate. Why? Because let's say if you are a beginner Probably hourly rate is something that you are looking for because you will have to spend a lot of time doing the work. I have extreme fast method of everything I do, and I do the work like in half a day. I hate hourly rates because why I have to be punished for being efficient? So, okay, I can say, okay, my hourly rate is, this project costs this amount of money, and they say, what's the hourly rate? And I say, no, I need this money for this work. If I do it in 3 hours, that's my business. If I do it in 5 hours, that's my business as well. But the thing is that, so if I ask you to pay me 500 for the website, and you say no, and I said, okay, my hourly rate is $50 per hour, and I say, oh, that's fine, we can do that, and I'm gonna do this website for 35 hours, would that be okay with you? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, so you're actually saying that you want to know how much the overall price will be, right? And they say, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so it's 500 bucks. So hourly rate is not something that is working in long-term perspective. Well, you can check my Upwork. It's free to check it. My hourly rate is 50, but it started from 17 when I was young, and I just joined 17 because you have to pay fees and stuff like that.
All right. Would you like to take more questions, because it's already 20 minutes post our webinar?
I can do it. I can have more questions. Okay. What Instagram name? I'm not sure what it means.
Because we have taken almost all the questions.
Right. How can I get full-time job after working as a freelancer? Well, that's really easy. When you are a freelancer, you have 5 to 7 projects in 3 months. So can you imagine how many case studies you can produce in 3 months? And then you kind of create the CV and like showcase the problem solution bit, and you apply to any company. I'm pretty sure that they will want you. I mean, I'm not even applying because I know that they want me, but this is not what actually appeals to my personality. Okay. How can I get? Oh, sorry. I think I wanted to share the presentation. When we can do that?
You can share it right now.
Right. I need to. Hold on. I will do it. I need a second or 2 or 5. Okay. So how do I do that? I put actions, call to action, right?
So action and send a call to action. It must be a link, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it?
Yeah, received.
Right, okay. So
you can download the presentation from here. And all those who are asking us whether they'll be receiving the recording of the webinar, yes, after the webinar is over, you guys will be receiving the recording of it. It will also be on YouTube in a day or so. So don't worry about that. You have not missed anything in this webinar. So I think, Helen, it's time to wrap up, right?
yeah, we can do another 5 minutes, I think, if you want.
If you're okay with it, I don't have a problem. I just want to respect your time because
I just went to the poll and I see that people are enjoying it, so I thought that okay. Okay, interesting question. Why? Oh no, this is not to me. This is for Designhill. Oh, I'm not gonna read that.
Which question is that? I would love to answer that.
Why are you rejecting all my professionally designed logo proposals?
Oh, yeah, I have answered that question. Since it is not related to the webinar, I think he should sort of reach out to our support team, and he will definitely get an answer there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you do cold calling to generate business? Never. Like, it's not country where I live. It's called telemarketing, and for freelancers, imagining myself that I'm like that with my phone calling someone, I'm like, why would I do that? And it's pretty expensive to call abroad, you know. Right. Can you define UX versus UI in one liner? In one liner, I can't, but UI is in the UX. They're not overlapping, they're not separate. UI is in the UX. You can find further information on this in my blog. Okay. Should beginner. Okay, did hourly rate play a great role, or portfolio weights more? Oh, I would say portfolio has bigger weight, because if client is looking only on your hourly rate, he's charging applicants only by hourly rate, he is not the person you want to personally work with, because he has a tight pocket and most probably he will not be satisfied, as I said already before. People can save the money, they could have moderate budgets, but if their budget is insane, bring you an example. I had a message, "Hi Helen, can you please make 40 screens for $150? And I'm like, even if those 40 screens are like mobile screens, I mean, no, that's offensive. I mean, if that's the issue and they're looking for someone to work for $3 per hour, don't go there. I mean, this is very bad. Okay, my voice starts to go down, guys. So yeah, I think we should wrap
Exactly. And I think if you guys have more questions, you can DM Helen on Instagram. And Helen, can you share your Instagram profile link with them?
I have to do that.
Or you can write it in the chat section also.
Right. I thought I can. Okay. Instagram. Okay, that's my Instagram. I reply to DMs all the time. So if you have questions, go on. Please ask me. I will be happy to answer. Sometimes I'm pretty slow with this because work stuff, and we're like having weekend in a couple of hours. So yeah, but I reply during 72 hours, like for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Awesome. So again, guys, I think it's time to wrap up. I would just like to thank Helen for being such an amazing person. I just loved your energy during this entire webinar, and it was amazing having you with us. And I'm sure that all the insights that you have shared during the webinar and all the examples that you have given to us, that you have shared from your experiences are really helpful. And I'm sure looking at the comments and looking at the polls, I can definitely say that people enjoyed the whole session. So thank you so much, Helen, once again, for being such an awesome person and sharing this webinar.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really fun. And by the way, I can see some people who do follow me. Thank you for being here. I know you personally, and this is so flattering that actually people came over just to have a look at how I'm dealing with this.
Yeah. And last but not the least, thank you so much to all of you guys who joined us in this live webinar today. It was amazing having you. I'm sure a few of you would have attended our previous webinars, but thank you once again for joining in. And we will we'll be having more such webinars in future. So stay tuned with us. Like and follow us on Instagram. You will keep on getting the updates. And yeah, after the webinar, you will be receiving a feedback form. Do take 2 minutes of your time to fill it up so that we also know where we have to improve ourselves. So thank you each and everybody for being such an amazing audience, and Helen for being such an amazing speaker. Thank you so much.
For your comments that you're leaving. I'm actually reading the chat. Thank you so much. I was not expecting that.
Thank you so much. Bye guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day.